So if you exist, and I know you do, I need you right now. Please help save this marriage, please.
Have you ever wondered how God works in the most unexpected ways, especially in the crisis of a marriage? Well, I want to share this story with you called Jesus Saved My Marriage by the Funny How God Works channel. Jim Breuer is a comedian known for his humor, and he shares this profound moment of brokenness and desperation, crying out to God in his car. Guys, it is so good. This is not just a reaction video. It is so worth watching the story in full. I'll put the link there at the bottom. But I want to walk you through just these little elements of his story that lead to profound transformation, right? That's part of what we do on this channel. We're about moving from lazy faith to living hope. And I love the inspiration of the story. I do want to go ahead and say right out of the gate, though, however, I know that it might be different where you are in your story, but just please stick with me. All right, just stick with me. Let's catch his prayer in full. Here we go.
And I'm not even trying to be funny. I'm being dead serious when I said, God, I've been loyal. I'm not a drug addict. I'm there for the kids. I'm doing everything. I took myself away from show business so I can be a family man. You know I'm committed to this. So if you exist, and I know you do, I need you right now. I'm begging you, please, you have to come and intervene this now. Please help save this marriage, please.
Obviously, we can tell from part of this is that there is a lot of struggle and probably a history of struggle in the marriage. Not I don't know Jim, I don't know his family, but you can tell that the things haven't gone well. He's made some decisions already to try to help, but it just hasn't been enough, right? It just hasn't been enough. So I just love the fact that this whole story starts with prayer. Jim basically pleading to God, whatever you have to do, please intervene. Love those words. Please come save this marriage. Now, here's the thing. The end of his story is not how every marriage story turns out, but for every marriage that's struggling, everyone has this moment, right? Maybe even multiple times. Everybody has this moment where they're just crying out to God. God, if you are real, if you exist, I need you to do something. I need you to do what I cannot do. Even when you're at the end of your rope, right? This is the desperate prayer of many. And he goes on to share in his story something incredible that does happen fairly quickly.
It was a couple of days later, I come walking in the house and my wife's sitting on the couch. And she clearly has been crying. And I went, are you all right? And she went, I don't know, something happened today. Something happened. I don't know what's going on. I went, whoa, what's going on? I went into town today and I went to this coffee shop. And in the coffee shop, there was this woman and she came up to me and she went, sweetie, I want to do something for you. Will you follow me to my house? And I'm like, well, do you know the woman? She said, no, I've never had conversations with this woman. Well, I said, what did you do? She goes, will you please just come with me? I want to do something for you. Just so I'm clear, you don't know who she is and she wants to do something for you. And I'm like, hey, I'm a stranger. We're in a coffee shop. I want to do something for you. Come to my house. And you're going to the house. Oh, my Lord, have mercy. I go, so now what happens? And she goes, I don't know why I followed her. Okay. And then what? We pulled up to the house. It was a cute house, and she brought me into the living room. And then what? She goes, and the husband came down. Uh-huh. They prayed for me. Not out of disrespect. That's just the last thing that I saw coming. Like, wait a minute. So some stranger meets you, brings you to the house, brings down the husband, and she wants to do something for you, and now they're praying for you? I went, what do you mean they were praying? She went, Jim, they prayed that I find, goodness, and may God find, love through me. And I said, what are you doing while they're praying? She went, I don't know. I get this overwhelming feeling, and I never had anyone do that for me. And I just felt this overwhelming love, and I just started sobbing. I mean, help me. I go, okay. She goes, I don't know what's going on, but I want to start going to church. And I want to learn more about God and Jesus. Can we find a church? Sure. Yeah. What?
Well, obviously, Jim is an incredible storyteller, but man, I just love this. And I want to ask you a question. What would you say if your spouse said something like this to you? And maybe you have a story like that, but I have not heard too many stories like this where you're in a coffee shop and a stranger comes up to you and is like, hey, come to my house, and you actually go. So again, just desperate people do desperate things. That's okay. This is still an incredible outcome of something really, really strange. And for this woman to have a sense to invite her to come and experience a time of prayer, I think what I love the most about this story was as he's listening and he's just like, what happened, right? She says, I felt an overwhelming sense of love, and they were praying for me, and they were praying that I would experience God and that I would receive something. And from what we can tell, she did. I mean, even just hey, I want to try to figure this out. I want to start going to church. Can we start going to church? Man, what a crazy moment. And I want to just point out that I love, because there's a transformative power of prayer. Oftentimes, again, we can't see the forest for the trees sometimes when we're in the middle of a marriage strife and conflict and we're praying desperately, and all we can think about is the fights and the things, and it takes someone on the outside looking in to be like, I want you to experience what God wants you to experience, and that overwhelming love can come. And I love the fact that they prayed for her, that she received that prayer as a direct connection from God's love and his grace. All right, but that's obviously not the end of the story. Let's keep going.
Right? She's doing, she's reading, she's going to church, she's meeting with people, and she'd come home, she's like, you don't go to church? I went, I tried a couple times, just, you say a lot of things that are like from the Bible. I was like, what? And she'd give examples, like, you said this and you do this, and I went, well, yeah, like, yeah, I mean, do you see me? I talk to God. I go in the woods and, show me what you want me to do. I don't know what I'm doing here. And we'd have deep conversations, where in the past, I'd go sit on the patio with one of my friends, and she didn't, she's like, what are you guys doing? Like, we're talking about the stars and the earth and our souls and this and God. And she's like, I don't understand how God has to mix it. But now we'd have these what do you think of this? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know about that, or I don't know. And we'd have long conversations. And this is when I really knew. I'm just going to be frank with you. We're going on about 3 months, and there's no fighting. There's no bickering. There's no anger. There's just real conversations. And wow, our marriage is saved. I'll never forget this.
Listen, I don't understand or even claim to know Jim's faith, his walk. I'm not putting a rubber stamp on any of this. Understand? Like, I don't know these people. From his story, there's obviously a disconnect from his relationship with God and what she was pursuing. That's another video for another day. But there does seem to be some transformation happening. There does seem to be some, and we would call this the honeymoon phase, right? There's no bickering anymore. There's no fighting anymore. Everything seems to be good. Wow, that's amazing, right? This period of calm. The marriage is improving. And listen, I already know what you're thinking, all right? Well, but Matt, that didn't happen. when they said they were going to go to church. That didn't happen when I prayed. That didn't happen. What if they don't follow through? What if it doesn't it doesn't become that way? But listen, I'm not here to kind of tell you that this is some package answer to something. This is an inspirational story of prayer and God working in and through someone's marriage. But I can't answer your specific issue or your specific question. I just want you to stick with it, okay? Just stick with it, because we're getting ready to see a turn here that I do think is extremely important in terms of the journey of what they themselves had to experience. Let's watch this together.
She comes home one day, and I was sitting in the kitchen, and she comes, you know what? I've asked you a million times to do this, and I've asked you this, but you don't listen. You don't listen about anything. Listen, that other thing, and the other thing. And you know what? You remember back in November and May, I had that, but you didn't do that. All I could think about was, wow, Jesus lasted. Yeah, he lasted 3 months. He did good. But all my life, my hand to God, my heart sank because I just heard, it's over. Wow, it's over. It's over. And then she went walking to the bedroom, and I'm just sitting there numb, holding back tears. And I hear her in the room like, now she's on the phone. You know how much he's saying? He sucks. And he did this, and he does that, and he does this, and bang, and he's slamming drawers and slamming things. And all of a sudden, I got quiet. And she comes walking down the stairs and walking up to me, and I'm silent, but I'm ready for battle. And she goes with the most calm, peaceful manner, Jim, I am so sorry. It's not you that I'm angry with. I have a lot of anger issues that I'm working with, and I'm talking to the Lord about it, and I'm learning about God, and I'm learning about the Lord. I'm going to slip. I'm a work in progress. And I just want you to know, I can choke up thinking about it, you're an incredible husband, and I know you are, and I know how committed you are, and you're a great father, and I thank God for that person of who you are. But I'm going to slip up a lot, and I just want to tell you, please be patient with me. And I love you. I love you too. And that's when I just, under my breath, I went, thank you, Jesus.
I have two strong emotions to this. Number one, I love this story, and I know that Jim is telling this story, and I honestly believe if this is his story, he gets to tell what happened. I can tell you from experience, most of what he's experiencing in one conversation, in one moment, does happen, but it happens over time. And it happens a whole lot more often, right? The slip-ups, the slipping back into old patterns, to old thinking, to unforgiveness, to bitterness, those things can happen more often, usually kind of real quickly, kind of slipping into those things. And I will also say that usually, in most cases, the sweet moments or the confession, the apology, the calm apology where she acknowledges her anger issues, that she knows, she understands, she's talking to God about it, and that she wants to continue to learn, but she's going to mess up. And again, even more so, the affirmation and the words of affirmation that she speaks over him. Look, I know that you're doing all you can, and I know you're a good husband, and I know you love me, and I know you're a good father. Here's the deal. I know that this feels very compressed as he tells the story, but I know that these things can and do happen. They just usually happen over a longer period of time for most marriages that begin to experience transformation because of the work that Christ is doing in and through their heart and their life. It reminds me of the verse that Paul writes to the church in Ephesus when he's talking to husbands and wives before he even talks about this. This is in Ephesians 5:21. He says, "And furthermore, submit to one another out of reverence for Christ." This is a call really to all God's people, but he's setting up a conversation about marriage, about wives and how they respect their husbands, and husbands as they love their wives sacrificially. Again, you have to read Ephesians 5. But in this moment, it starts with the premise. There's going to be a mutual submission to one another. Just like it started with Jim's prayer of desperation, now you have her acknowledging, well, I am praying about my issues too. I'm praying about these issues as well. But it doesn't mean you're not going to go back into old patterns. It doesn't mean you're going to have, Jesus is renewing our thoughts. It doesn't mean you're not going to go back into old fights. But you have to be willing, especially in the midst of this. There's got to be a willingness, and I applaud him and her and their willingness for him to not come out of the gate just angry and unforgiving, and I knew it wasn't true, and I knew this didn't happen. And I applaud her from the standpoint of being willing to say, I understand this is a problem for me, being vulnerable enough to surrender that to God and share that with her husband. These are huge steps of transformation, personal growth, and accountability to one another. And I'll just stop and ask a question for this moment. What about this story? This story begins to start feeling very unreal for a lot of marriages. But I want you to dig down into the moments when you say, well, what is it about this story that feels like it can happen, that it's possible? Immediately we'll want to discount things because it didn't work out like that for us and it's not working out like that. But what is possible in terms of prayer, in terms of accountability and growth through a church, through a community of faith, through a community of people? As you heard him say, deep conversations with one another about how things work and about the way things work in terms of our faith. They were having those together. I can honestly tell you from my wife and I, one of the things that we enjoy most and have enjoyed most of our 30 plus years of marriage is the deep conversations of faith, deep conversations about not just who God is to us individually, but how he works in and through our lives, our ministry. Those are huge. Let me bring you back to the story full, and I'm going to go ahead and not show you one part. I'm going to just tell you about it very quickly. He wants to bring the story, full circle. There is a moment that he shares. Again, you can go watch the full video. There's a moment he shares about meeting a young girl at a camera store who's super excited. She recognizes him again from SNL and TV and those kinds of things. She wants to move to Hollywood. She wants to be an actress, and she's super excited, and she's very young and naive. And he, as a dad, really just goes, look, let's have a conversation before you move, before you do this. So he can just share the harsh reality of what things are really like, not to fully discourage her, but to just kind of help her not go out there the way she was and kind of be taken advantage of. And he ends up having a really great conversation with this young girl, even though her demeanor changes. And that's it. And then months later, he goes to a coffee shop. And I want you to see how this story, at least from the video that we have, how this story comes full circle.
There's this little coffee shop in town. I'll never forget, I go in there one day, and there's a woman a little old, I'm going to say, 15 years older than me. Very attractive woman. She had beautiful blue eyes, and she's going, I think I'm just going to get my eyes done and maybe do something on my eyelids, and then maybe, and I went, excuse me, why would you do that? You have beautiful eyes. You're beautiful. Don't change anything. Go with the flow. How old are you? And she told me her age. I'm like, oh my gosh. And you're talking about doing your eye? No, don't do that. And all of a sudden, she goes, I know who you are. In my head, obviously, I go straight to, okay, the TV stuff. And she's looking deep in my eyes. Not like, she's just looking deep into my eyes. And she went, "Can I give you a hug?" Oh, and sure. And she gives a hug. And then she stares at me and she goes, "You're the one. You're the one that saved my daughter." I went, "What? You don't understand. I prayed to God every day. I prayed, please let her find God. She wanted to move to California, and I knew she was in so much trouble and what she's been through in life." I went, "Oh, the girl at the camera shop." She was, "Yes, it's my daughter. I don't know what you said to her. It changed her life. She goes to church and she's a beautiful human being. Her whole life has changed. She doesn't even want to do that. She helps other people." Like, and she started tearing up and she gave me another hug. That's the woman that brought my wife to the house and saved our marriage. It's funny how God works. Funny how God works.
Yeah, I tear up. Sorry. I tear up thinking about it as a dad praying for his kids, how other people can interact with them and make such a huge difference. But coming back to this, man, I just want us to think about the interconnectedness of what seems to be like these random events. And again, I know it could be hard for you because of it. This thing just has this beautiful kind of package, kind of like a bow wrapped on the top. Look, again, I don't know what's going on in their marriage right now and how things are working and what things are like, but I just want to go ahead and say out loud, like, just trust God. Okay. Just trust God with the fact that this was shared to encourage you and to encourage others who might be struggling. All right. In the big picture, I love the fact that who knows when this revelation came. I know he's talking specifically about the impact he had on her daughter, but how that came up, that, "Oh, I was praying for your wife. I didn't even know that's who you were," or he connected those dots. He doesn't go into that story, but man, just the full circle, beautiful thing of how God works through these divine appointments, through these moments, through things when we don't even realize he's at work, he's working, right? That to me is what I man, just getting out of the apathy and getting out of the lazy faith, getting out of this just what preachers said and I know what something said and to this active, living, breathing hope that we get to have in Christ. And I will say to you again, for those who may be struggling in your marriage, struggling in your own area, man, just continue to pray. Continue to be inspired by stories like this because God does work. I'm a testimony of it. I've seen people share story after story of God doing work in their marriage. I also know that sometimes divorces happen. I know that marriages still split. There's two to tango, right? There's two stories involved. There's multiple ways that Ephesians 5:21 doesn't work, where we won't mutually submit to one another, and it doesn't happen. But I gotta be joyful and I gotta be excited about those times when it does happen. And I want to share that with as many people as I possibly can about how God does work in and through these divine appointments, this transformation through prayer, and can work in and through our marriage. Even just today, if you'll put in the comments of this video, I've seen God do some incredible things, right? I've seen him work in my marriage, maybe it's just work in my kid's life. Maybe it's answer a prayer that you had. Just reflect on the moments like this. And maybe you have the exact same words of Jim as he shared with this group, Funny How God Works channel. It is funny. It's funny how God works.